Breaking news out of New York City. A fire erupted Thursday night following what authorities said was a transformer explosion at a Con Edison plant in Queens, New York. The explosion turned the night sky bright blue and caused power outages, including reports of a blackout at LaGuardia Airport. Now, the light from the eruption could be seen at least 20 miles away. The New York Police Department said the fire is under control. Our CBSN managing editor, Rob Gifford, saw the light from across the river in Manhattan, and he joins us now on the phone. So, Rob, tell us what you saw. Rob, are you there?
Hi, Elaine.
Hi, Rob. So tell us what you saw.
So my wife actually saw it first. We were sitting in our living room watching TV, and she said, "What is that blue light outside?" I looked outside, and, first I said, wow, it looks like it could be fireworks. Could have been, for a second I thought it might be police sirens, kind of a flashing distance. But then I really looked at the sky, and, the sky doesn't look like that for just police sirens. So, I was like, I quipped that maybe it was like an alien invasion. I mean, that's right. How blue it was. It almost looked like I would say dawn or dusk, like not even nighttime. So it was really hard to tell. So we were trying to figure it out. I actually opened the window at one point to try to figure out what kind of sound I would hear outside, if there was some kind of explosion or something. And, all I heard was sort of street traffic. We're on the east side of Manhattan here, so not exactly, but definitely was noticeable.
And what time was this, Rob? And did you hear anything at all?
I didn't. It was about, let's see, it's got to be now going on 25, 30 minutes ago. We didn't hear anything. The window's closed, so maybe we missed, the initial explosion. But it went on for a solid, I want to say, a minute to 2 minutes, sort of fluctuating in the sky. But even when I opened the window, I didn't hear anything, abnormal in terms of traffic. But again, I'm on the other side of the river.
And as we're listening to you, Rob, we're looking at images. Of course, there have been a lot of images coming in on social media and folks asking what that strange blue light is in the sky. At this point, Rob, what we know, according to Con Ed spokesman Bob McGee, not a lot of info right now. Of course, we're working to gather more, but there was a fire at a substation on 20th Avenue and 32nd Street in Astoria, Queens. Now, we're getting some conflicting information. According to this spokesman, there are no outages, but that may change, of course. And we're continuing to try and get some details. But can you tell from your vantage point, Rob, does it appear that there are neighborhoods that look to be without power that you can tell?
Not from where I'm sitting. And I did a little quick Twitter search myself. And I think some people are claiming they lost power briefly. But nothing in this area. I will say, we do the 4th of July fireworks here on the East River, every other summer, and it's really the only other time I've seen the sky look like that. So that was kind of my first instinct, and being close to New Year's, I thought that might have been what it was. That's how bright it was. But in terms of power outages, we're not seeing that.
I just want to explain to our viewers what we're taking a look at right now. This is footage from our WCBS, our local CBS station here in New York City, Chopper, which is over the area where this all took place. You can see, if you look closely there, all of the emergency vehicles that are posted at the various streets throughout this area right now. Again, we're trying to get more information. What we know comes to us from Con Ed spokesman Bob McGee. A fire at a substation on 20th Avenue and 32nd Street in Astoria, Queens. At this time, no outages, but that could change. He also could not confirm that this fire was under control. But as we're looking at this image, Rob, I don't know if you can see it. There doesn't appear to be a fire that we can at least see from this particular angle at this moment. Do you see anything from your vantage point?
No, and that's the other thing that's interesting about it is, people keep talking about a possible explosion, but you don't see anything that would resemble smoke or flames or, even the color doesn't really look like a fire. So, no.
And so if you'll just stay with us, Rob, we can see now that the WCBS photographer is zooming in on an area where it appears that there are some workers with flashlights or people going through a darkened area in what looks to be sort of this section that is transformers, but they've panned off now. We can't really see going through. Rob, how long would you say this kind of the light, the initial sort of moment when you saw that light, when your wife saw the light, to the time where it sort of faded? How long would you say that was?
It's hard to say, but I would say it's probably, I'd say in the ballpark of 2 minutes, the most, maybe less. But it kind of it was bright for a little bit, and then it kind of flickered a little bit, and then it sort of lingered. And I said to myself, "This is definitely abnormal. That it's not going away." But it wasn't sort of all the same type of
intensity,
brightness.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you'll hang on one moment, Rob, we are getting on the phone now Heather Scott. She is a senior producer for our affiliate service, CBS Newspath, and she is there at the scene. Heather, describe for us, first of all, where you are right now and what is it that you're seeing and hearing there?
Hi, Elaine. I'm on 20th Avenue in Astoria, Queens, on the outside of the Con Edison substation here. It's actually, there are a lot of photographers here and people looking at the scene, but it seems to have calmed down a bit since this happened. There are some emergency vehicles, and the area is blocked off, but I haven't seen any ambulances since I've been here. The officers on site said that this was a transformer explosion. They are not aware of anyone hurt in this, and I don't see an active fire, but that's just their information outside of the Con Edison plant.
And Heather, tell us what kind of area that is where this is located. Are there houses anywhere near that area where the Con Ed plant is?
There is a sort of a residential area around this area. It is on the outskirts of the Astoria neighborhood of Queens, but there's a large grocery store here and a gas station and apartment buildings back up to this area. It's about a little over a mile from where I live, and this caught our attention in our living room this evening when the sky just turned really super bright blue, and it looked like daylight outside. And this lasted for several minutes. We did not hear an explosion a mile away, but clearly something was happening. The electricity in our apartment flickered, but then came back on right away.
So there wasn't an outage at any point then, Heather, but you did experience some kind of a flickering of the lights.
Yes.
And Heather, tell us, do you remember roughly what time that was, and then how long did it take you to get there? And was there a smell in the air? Just describe for us when you first arrived on scene what that was like.
There were a lot of people, actually. It was about 15 minutes after this happened to get to the scene. I actually took a bicycle here because the roads are closed around here. There were lots of people who had obviously been here for a while who were walking away from the scene at that time because the situation had died down a little bit. But there are lots of people out here from the neighborhood looking to see what has happened here. Police have blocked off the streets, and there are officers keeping people back on the sidewalk. I saw a fire truck leave the scene, but again, no ambulances or anything like that.
And Heather, if you'll stay with us for a moment, I want to let our viewers know that I'm just being handed some information that is new. The FAA says there is a ground stop at LaGuardia. The airport is closed for inspection after that fire in Queens. Again, this new information that the FAA saying there's a ground stop at LaGuardia Airport as that airport is closed for inspection after that fire in Queens. Heather, let me go back to you for a moment. So when you got there and you saw the activity, it seemed as though there wasn't necessarily, you didn't see an ambulance, you didn't necessarily see any medical personnel, it sounds like, just police, I imagine, and fire officials.
That's right. Police and fire officials. I mean, I'm sure those vehicles got here early and got in, but it was a while after the initial sky turning blue that we started to hear ambulances coming in this direction. I can't tell you, this is less than 2 miles from LaGuardia Airport, so that the airport is impacted by what happened here is not surprising at all. It's really pretty close.
It's close by. Yeah, for people who are not familiar with sort of the layout of the geography, Heather, thank you for helping us sort of understand the proximity here for these areas that we're talking about. So, Heather, what is it that police on the scene are telling you now? Are they planning on having some kind of, public information officer come out to give you updates? Have they said anything along those lines?
At this point, a public information officer isn't expected at the scene, and they're directing us to their guys back in the office. So I don't anticipate any more details about what actually happened inside the plant from these guys out here.
All right. Heather Scott, thank you so much. Rob Gifford, thanks to you as well. Really appreciate you talking to us and letting us know what's going on there.